Welcome to the Calder Farmstead, your place for news, analysis, and shenanigans from the American Hockey League.
Face off one by Calder, Jones, top, other point fence into the slot, a shot is gone! Josh Perry, and double,
left point, long drive, save, Kinetic, what a stop by Matisse with the left pad! Oh, there was a scramble in front of the net, and denied was Matt Schicker by a miraculous piece of net binding by Matisse Kinetic.
D-laner from the red line sends it in, Hofer into his net, he stops it, Hofer looking, Hofer firing toward the empty net, he scores! Are you kidding me? Joe Hofer, a goalie goal in the Calder Cup playoffs!
And now, with 9 minutes gone in overtime, the Bears breaking out. Right side with Fair. Brooks Light cutting to the net. Fair, and let's go! He scored! He scored! It's over!
Hello, hello, hello from Radio City Music Hall, New York. Welcome to the Calder Farmstead podcast, episode number 144 for Friday, July 14th, 2023. If you were hoping for a podcast featuring an FFA blue and gold gala, we are not going to be much help. This is an American Hockey League podcast. My name is Sean O'Brien from Stats Track and the AHL's only league-wide analytics guy.
And I'm Sarah Avampato from Full Press Hockey and SB Nation's Canes Country.
And as always, we thank you for tuning in with us. Today is a special episode as it is our 2022-23 end season AHL award show. If you're normally a podcast listener, today might be a day to head over to the YouTube channel as I think you're going to want to see the show. Tonight we have 9 awards to give out in the following categories: Best AHL TV Broadcast, Best Broadcaster, Best Coaching Staff, Best Hockey Flow, Best Goalie Mask, Best Goalie, Best Defenseman, Best Forward, and we cap it all off with the Most Underestimated Team, aka the Mea Culpa Award. Most of those categories are pretty straightforward. However, 2 probably require some explaining.
All right, so best hockey flow, for those unfamiliar with the slang of the hockey world, we are talking about the AHL player we judge as having the best hockey hair this season in the AHL.
The Mea Culpa Award is awarded to the team that we were the most wrong about in their favor during our preseason predictions. So way back in October, we kicked off the podcast with a season preview where we picked under or over teams' point totals as predicted by the model. We were pretty spot on with a bunch we had the right idea, but didn't go far enough with it. A few teams we thought were going to be good didn't quite shake out, but this award is for the team we thought we were the most wrong about how good they were going to be. Hence the Mea Culpa Award, because our bad for underestimating them.
So in the spirit of transparency, we will be releasing our full voting ballots after the show, as well as copies of the receipts for donations associated with the Best Hockey Flow and the Mea Culpa Awards. So without further ado, let's get the show moving.
Absolutely. Let's start out our award show broadcast with the Best AHL TV Broadcast. During the course of our show this season and the previews and recaps we did, we got to see all 32 teams AHL TV broadcasts several times. We thought it best to celebrate the best ones, so here we are. Our 3 finalists are the Coachella Valley Firebirds, the Chicago Wolves, and the Utica Comets. For those unfamiliar with those broadcasts, let's break down our finalists a little bit more here. Sarah, tell me about the Coachella Valley Firebirds.
So it's a first-year AHL TV broadcast that was built from scratch. The Firebirds immediately put their broadcast on the map by having Hockey Hall of Famer Grant Fuhr join the 21-22 ECHL Broadcaster of the Year finalist Evan Pivnik in the broadcast booth. That gave the Firebirds AHL TV broadcast the on-air talent it needed, but it also did an amazing job maximizing their value in intermission interviews and pregame analysis that informed Coachella Valley fans of what was going on around the organization, what the Firebirds were doing on the ice, and why it mattered.
And on top of the on-air talent you heard from, Coachella Valley did a great job minimizing dead time on the screen. There were replays, graphics, crowd shots, always something to see and listen to that made their broadcast feel like there wasn't wasted time built in during TV timeouts or during intermission where guys just used it as a bathroom break. There was always something happening and something to be listened to or seen on the Firebirds broadcast, and that made it feel very active. Sarah, let's talk about the Chicago Wolves, your hometown broadcast. Tell me about them.
So a finalist last season, the Wolves AHL TV broadcast continues to be one of the best in the AHL. Their pregame show is still second to none in the AHL, and Jason Shaver and Billy Gardner both continue to provide great coverage of the Wolves from before puck drop until well after the final horn. The two have been together for 13 seasons on the Wolves broadcast.
What I've really enjoyed is their direct-to-camera segments, where it's not just their voices over graphics or crowd shots, but gives you a bit of that studio analysis feel that you don't get on many AHL TV broadcasts, but do for most national broadcasts of major leagues. Not to mention that the coverage they give you in those moments is insightful and useful. It's not just run-of-the-mill chatter to fill a broadcast. When Billy Gardner interviews players and personnel in between periods, it's more than just get pucks deep, give 110%. He gives them real questions and he gets real answers back. And that's important. Our last finalist here that we want to talk about is the Utica Comets. Sarah, tell me about them.
Our best AHL TV broadcast winners from last season with a chance to run it back, the Comets continue to do a great job at making their AHL TV broadcasts look and feel like something you'd see from an NHL team. It also helps that they have last season's best broadcaster in Jason Shaya. The Comets broadcast has great content during intermissions and TV timeouts and makes the time away from the action not feel like an opportunity to just go to the bathroom.
That's really it. It feels like a broadcast you'd see closer to major TV sports broadcasts put on by ESPN or NBC or TNT than something done in-house by a local minor league hockey team. And that goes from the graphics package to the intermission and pregame content to having enough sponsors that I don't feel like I'm listening to the same 4 ads every single break. That makes their broadcast, when you see it, time and time again, still feel fresh and feel new and feel high end. So those are our finalists for the best AHL TV broadcast: the Coachella Valley Firebirds, the Chicago Wolves, and the Utica Comets. Sarah, would you like to do the honors here and tell us who our first winner of the night is?
All right. Our winner is the Coachella Valley Firebirds.
And here to accept the award for Best AHL TV Broadcast on behalf of the Coachella Valley Firebirds is Evan Pivnik. Congratulations, Evan, on winning the Calder Farmstead's 22-23 Best AHL TV Broadcast. This was not an easy choice for us, but in the end, we decided you guys were amazing and worthy of the award.
Well, greatly appreciate the award. Thank you guys so much. It's it was a long season for us and a lot to navigate in our inaugural year, and we're just happy that people were able to tune in and enjoy the ride that we put everyone through.
So as a brand new franchise in the AHL, you had pretty much a blank slate in terms of creating your AHL TV broadcast. What were some aspects that you wanted to incorporate to make the broadcast the best thing possible for fans? And were there any things you were looking to avoid?
I think one of the biggest things, and it kind of fell right into our lap, was the addition of Grant Fuhr to the broadcast. It's not every day you get to work with a 5-time Stanley Cup champion and NHL Hall of Famer, and probably one of the best goaltenders to ever put on the pads. But him joining the broadcast, and he kind of volunteered to do it himself to start things off. And he's lived in the area for 13, maybe 14 years now, and just wanted to be involved. So I think getting him on board was huge. And because he united a lot of people, because he has a lot of friends here who don't really even know about his hockey background. So more of his golf background than anything else. So him coming to be on the broadcast and added his twist to things, and his knowledge was I think our key to success. And he's so great to work with, really knowledgeable guy, and he's grown a lot. This is his first time doing broadcasts, so there are little bumps along the way, but again, it's his first time doing, and I think if you listen from his first game to Game 7 of the Calder Cup final, and you'd think he's been doing it for years.
Absolutely. Evan, a lot goes on behind the scenes to make a broadcast, especially for AHL TV. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank or give recognition to that may not be well known to fans that made this award possible for the Coachella Valley Firebirds?
Absolutely. There's so many people that work on our production, and that stems from our in-arena production, which is our director of game presentations, Kristen Thompson, who does a fantastic job, just kind of making it an NHL style production that we put on in the arena. And it translates to AHL TV as well, because we take a lot of what you see in the arena up on AHL TV. Gino Lamont, who is our TV pregame and intermission and postgame host, he's done a fantastic job kind of doing a lot of the formatting stuff for us on the television side of things when we're on TV for TV games, but you get to hear that regardless if you're watching AHL TV. So he's done a great job with that, booking guests for intermissions. I know he struggled a little bit trying to get some guests during the triple overtime game in the Pacific Division Final. So hats off to him for getting through that. And everyone here at the Firebird staff is kind of pitched in and helped out where they can. So I just want to thank everyone for their hard work and making this all happen. And we're excited to defend our award next year.
Absolutely. Well, we do have a physical award to send to you that will be coming in the mail, so you guys can fight amongst yourselves as to whose desk that gets to sit on. That is a choice for you. Thank you, Evans, for taking time out of your day to come and accept this award. Congratulations once again. Please get some rest and relax this off season. I know how tiresome it's been for us. I imagine it's probably been harder for you.
Yeah. We played 98 games this year, so I think a couple of days off is well deserved for everyone involved. So greatly appreciate it, guys. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you so much, Evan. You have a good one.
Next up on the docket, we have our Best Broadcaster Award. You might be thinking to yourself, how do we have the Best AHL TV Broadcast and the Best Broadcaster Award? Well, it's the same way that the best player doesn't always play for the best team. The Best AHL TV Broadcast is a team award. Best Broadcaster is an individual award. That said, our finalists this year are Daniel Fink of the Manitoba Moose, Ryan Smith of the Springfield Thunderbirds, and Evan Pivnik of the Coachella Valley Firebirds. For those unfamiliar, let's break down our finalists a bit more, starting with Daniel Fink.
It's crazy to think that Daniel Fink wasn't initially hired by the Manitoba Moose in 2016 to be their broadcaster, despite having a robust broadcasting background. And here he is now, a two-time finalist for the Best Broadcaster Award. Fink was promoted to the Moose broadcasting role in 2019 and has been one of the best in the AHL ever since. What I've really enjoyed about him is that he calls the play so well without sounding like he's trying to pad word counts or insert Merriam-Webster's word of the day into the broadcast. His calls are concise, informative, have flow, and that's a hard thing to do in a game that moves as fast at a pace as hockey does. That takes talent, and it takes talent to develop over time, and Daniel Fink has definitely done that. That's why he is now a two-time finalist for Broadcaster of the Year. Sarah, tell me about Ryan Smith.
All right, so anytime we can nominate a fellow Penn State alum, we're always happy to do so, but let's be clear, this isn't some kind of alumni nepotism here. Ryan Smith has more than earned this nomination. He has been the Springfield Thunderbirds broadcaster since 2016, and I'm sure that the front office there considers themselves lucky every year that an NHL team hasn't wised up and snatched him away. What stands out about Smith's ability as a broadcaster is his ability to see the play coming and build to a crescendo when something exciting happens, and few in the AHL can hit the high notes like he does when it comes to goal calls. He manages to balance the raw emotion of the call without drowning the moment with words. Few in broadcasting have that ability. That is why he is one of our finalists this season. Let's round it out with Evan Pivnik. Sean, take it away.
Last but certainly not least, fresh off his nomination for Best AHL TV Broadcast, Evan Pivnik comes in on the solo side of things, as well as being fresh off a finalist for the ECHL's Broadcaster of the Year in 21-22. Evan Pivnik comes to the AHL's newest franchise and continues to just be one of the best broadcasters in the league that he's in. Not too many broadcasters can be joined by a Hall of Famer on the broadcast to do analysis and still feel like they're the star of the show, but that's how we saw it. Pivnik does everything to a high level, whether that's calling the play, interacting with Fuhr or others during interviews or during breaks, to hitting the high notes on a playoff overtime winner. It wasn't hard to see how the ECHL had him as a finalist for Broadcaster of the Year last season, and he's already in position to claim the crown here his first year in the AHL. So those are our finalists for Best Broadcaster: Daniel Fink, Ryan Smith, and Evan Pivnik. Sarah, one more time, would you like to do the honors and announce who our winner is?
All right. Our winner is Ryan Smith.
And here to accept the award for Best Broadcaster is the voice of the Springfield Thunderbirds, Ryan Smith. Ryan, congratulations on winning the Calder Farmstead's 2022-23 Best Broadcaster Award. A very difficult choice for us, but we decided you were one cut above everyone else. Congratulations.
Well, Sean, thanks. This is the part where I would probably be self-deprecating, saying, I don't know how you arrived at that. I don't know if you need to get your head examined, but in all seriousness, I don't take it lightly, because the fact of the matter is, in this business, you want your audience to enjoy what you're putting forward in how you call the game. You want to kind of have that excitement resonate with them as they're watching. And that's something I always kind of focused on. And I think if you can't get excited calling this game, I don't think it's the right job for you if you can't be brought up out of your chair and turned into sometimes a squeaky mess. So as a call and as a game gets really into the fever pitch moments. And I think that's what really makes it such a cool profession, and one that whenever I tell people what I do for a living, they're like, wow, that's really cool. I would never think of that as a profession. So again, I don't take it lightly. So I appreciate the honor.
Absolutely. Ryan, you have already achieved legend status as an AHL broadcaster with your Joel Hofer goalie goal call that is part of our show intro. Now that you have the hardware to go along with it, in your 7 seasons with the Thunderbirds, was that your favorite call? And if not, what has been? Well,
I think by default it has to be. It's the only call of mine that I know of that's ended up on a T-shirt. So there's that, which everyone probably thinks that was my idea. And I went to our office and said, put this on a shirt. It wasn't. I showed up and our creative guy had it on a shirt design, and our boss had already signed off on buying them. I'm like, well, okay, I guess this is a thing that's happening. But yeah, when I think of a marquee moment, that's the first one that comes to mind, because that's the one that went viral. That's the one that when you see Elliot Friedman tweeting about it, when you see NHL writers, NHL broadcasters, NHL team accounts, the Blues going berserk over it. When you see all of that start to come together and you see our social media blowing up for 48 hours straight after it happened, I didn't realize in the moment what it was going to turn into. If there was another favorite, it might be a cop-out to say that Joel almost did it again this year in March. So if he had done it again, I'm not sure if I was more prepared or less prepared for it the second time if it had happened, but he managed to hit both posts and have 3 total attempts. So that was a different kind of situation entirely. I think the other ones that come to mind, not really one specific call, but the Game 7 victory over Laval for the T-Birds clinching the Eastern Conference last year. That entire game is near the top of the list just because of how much anticipation there was and how much pressure and everything that went into that game. I felt pressure as a broadcaster. The guys, I'm sure, felt pressure as players in front of the home fans to get it done, and thank heavens they did. And it was a night that being able to sit down in the room with the guys after the fact and kind of reflect on all that was accomplished was certainly a moment I'll never forget. Playoff overtime winners are always great. James Neal's in Laval in Game 5, and Matt Kessel's in Game 1 of the finals. Just things like that if you told me 5 years ago that I'd call a James Neal overtime goal and I wasn't in the NHL to do it, I wouldn't have bought it in a million years. But the reality is Nealer was just terrific with us and terrific with me personally. So it made it all the more fun and rewarding to have that one checked off on the list.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ryan, we do not yet have a best dressed AHL broadcaster award. I don't even know how we would go about doing such a thing, but you would likely be the runaway winner for it should we ever have one. Where do you get most of your suits, and what does the process of choosing one for game day look like?
There's less a process for game day than you would think. I'm not. I used to be one who said if they won when you were wearing that combination, go back to it quickly. I think that just comes off as a little gross if you wear the same suit in a 1 week period twice. I think that's a little much, and I don't want people to think that I'm Pigpen over here. So I don't really go into that. In terms of where they're from, God, all over the map. Indochino is probably my favorite. And anyone who doesn't know, they are a fully custom brand, but you're not paying 4 figures for a suit. This is one of the Indochino looks I've got. So, and I think when I was younger, I was a little more shy to try color, but I would see people, not Craig Sager level crazy, but I would see guys who popped a little more color in their attire. And I was like, I kind of like that. And I'm like, I'm not really afraid of color. I'm like, could I pull that off? Could I pull that off? And eventually at one point, I think I stopped caring what the general world would think. And I said, I like that color. I like that this is tan. I want to try it. It's different. I like that green and yellow. I like it. It's different. I like the light blue. It's different. I like red. It's different. I like purple. It's different. And I just said, you know what? I'm done caring what the greater world thinks of me. And I didn't expect it to turn into this thing that people recognized about me, but people recognize it with me. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't cool to get the accolades for that kind of thing. But really, it was just a matter of I didn't want to have a boring suit. I wanted to have a little bit of style and personality into what I was wearing. And if people think, wow, he's a little out there, I'm like, you know what? To each their own. So, again, you won't see me going Don Cherry, Craig Sager level insane unless it's a really special occasion. But yeah, it's just something I toyed with over my years. And like I said, I've got a bunch of different designers. I've had some shipped over to me from Europe and Asia. And wow. It's like, it just is whatever I'm feeling in the moment. So I don't really have any tricks of the trade when it comes to that kind of thing.
Well, unfortunately, I don't get to wear many suits anymore these days as I'm mostly a hockey jersey guy now. This is the only thing I put on most of the year.
Is that really all that unfortunate, though?
I don't know. I have a bunch of suits myself, so it feels kind of painful when I open my closet. I reach past them to grab, the hockey jersey of the day. But I do miss it on occasion. But I also recognize like it's a challenge to find good suits and keep them fitting to you and the whole process.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ryan, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on a great season. Congratulations on being named our best broadcaster. Your call will continue to stay in our intro for the foreseeable future. Once again, thank you so much for your time and congratulations.
I appreciate it. And once you get a goalie goal call where the voice doesn't crack on somebody, then you might have your fill-in, your placeholder right there.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Ryan. You have a great offseason.
Yep. Thanks so much, Sean.
Our next award is not for the best head coach, but the best coaching staff, because it takes a village to run the hockey side of a team, and more than just the head coach deserves credit. So we looked for contributions from the whole staff and arrived at our 3 finalists. They are the Milwaukee Admirals, the Coachella Valley Firebirds, and the Calgary Wranglers. Let's break down those finalists a little bit more. Sarah, give me the stats capsule for our first finalist, the Milwaukee Admirals.
All right. So for Milwaukee, Carl Taylor is in his 4th year as a head coach in the AHL with the Milwaukee Admirals. Plus, there was that one COVID year where he was a team consultant with the Wolves when the Admirals didn't play. Scott Ford and Greg Rallo are his assistants. David Rook is the goalie development coach. Ryan Stacy is the video coach. And Nathan Williams is the strength and conditioning coach. This season, their team record was 41-24-5-2. The net power play was 21.9%, good for 1st in the AHL. Net penalty kill was 87% or 5th in the AHL. Their all situations PDO was 101.45. Their win percentage after a loss, 46.7%. Back-to-back win percentages was 70.8%. And the opening night lineup games lost was 326. Sean, what did you see from Milwaukee's coaching staff this season?
Milwaukee was just such a solid team all year, and they did so facing a lot of uphill battles. For starters, Nashville plucked them clean at times due to injuries and to wanting to give some prospects a look. Most teams in that spot are unable to make those meaningful absences, make those meaningful absences up, and they go on losing streaks. But not the Admirals. Milwaukee staff has balanced winning and development a way that's second to none this season in the AHL, and arguably in other seasons as well. And they've done so without the common staples of lights out goaltending or just puck luck heaters. The Admirals staff continues to get the job done no matter what's thrown at them. 8th best regular season record in the AHL with 2 top 5 special teams units and a 70.8% win percentage on the second game of back-to-backs. All the while, seeing the Predators consistently take their best players. That's an elite coaching staff. That's why they're part of this, the finalists for this award. Sarah, tell me about the Coachella Valley Firebirds and give me their stats capsule.
So the newest team in the league with Dan Bylsma in his first year as a head coach in the AHL with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Jessica Campbell and Stu Bickle are his assistants. Colin Zulianello is the goalie development coach. Eric Elens is the video coach. And Mike Donahue is the strength and conditioning coach. The team record is 48-17-5-2 this season. Net power play is 17.8%, or 12th in the AHL. Net penalty kill is 86.2%, 6th in the AHL. Their all situations PDO was 102.06. The win percentage after a loss, 65.2%. Back-to-back wins, 68.2%. And the opening night lineup games lost is 251. Sean, what did you see from Coachella Valley's coaching staff this season?
I mean, Coachella Valley didn't play a true home game until December 18th, 2022. Their first 22 games of the season were either on the road or fake home games, faux home games in the Kraken Arena or in the Everett Silvertips Arena. And we know how important home ice advantage is, even in the regular season where home teams win around 5% more than road teams. For context, 4.2 points in win percentage separated Springfield from Chicago at the end of the season. That 5% matters. And yet, when it came time to open Acrisure Arena, the Firebirds were tied for 4th in the AHL in win percentage. Add that to solid special teams and great performances in difficult spots like back-to-backs, and it's easy to see how we got here with Coachella Valley as a finalist for best coaching staff. And last but not least, Sarah, tell me about and give me the stats capsule for our reigning best coaching staff in the AHL, the Calgary Wranglers.
All right, so for Calgary, Mitch Love is in his second year as a head coach in the AHL with the Calgary Wranglers. Joe Sorella and Don Nachbauer are his assistants. Mackenzie Skapski is the goalie development coach. Daniel Johnston is the video coach, and Gord Farnell is the strength and conditioning coach. The team record this year, 51-17-3-1. The net power play was 18.9%, 8th in the AHL. Net penalty kill was 89.2%, or 1st in the AHL. All situations PDO was 102.95. The win percentage after a loss, 66.6%. Back-to-back win percentage was 63.6%. And the opening night lineup games lost, 293. Sean, what did you see from Calgary's coaching staff this season?
Not much has changed from last season when Calgary staff won this same award. They once again excelled in all areas, no matter what. 2 top 10 special teams units, the best record in the regular season, 63+% and winning after a loss and on the second game of back-to-backs. They also managed to get NHL debuts for Dustin Wolf, Jakob Peltier, and Nick DeSimone, as well as long auditions in the NHL for Walker Dewar and Dennis Gilbert. There aren't any more boxes to check for what you'd want out of a high-end AHL coaching staff. They won it again. They won last season. We'll see if they can pull off a back-to-back and be our first ever repeat award winners in 3 years of running this award show. Sarah, our finalists for best coaching staff, Milwaukee, Coachella Valley, and Calgary. Please do the honors and tell us who our winner is.
All right. Our winner is the Milwaukee Admirals.
And here to accept the award for best coaching staff on behalf of the Milwaukee Admirals is head coach Carl Taylor. Coach Taylor, thank you so much for taking the time for coming on to accept this award. Congrats on winning the Calder Farmstead's 22-23 best coaching staff. This was another hard award for us to give out, but we definitely feel that the Milwaukee Admiral staff earned it this year. So congratulations.
I appreciate that. It's honestly an honor, and the season's so difficult. The things you go through, our staff dealt with a lot of things, just like a lot of other staffs did. Like you said, it was a difficult decision to go through all the great coaches that are at our level and the great coaching staffs, whether it's the assistant coaches or the video coach or the strength coach. Everyone pitches in and does a big part of what each an individual team is trying to succeed. We did have a kind of a unique season, losing some guys early. We lost 3 centers in the first 20 games, which was interesting. Then we played everyone at center, including Askarov, our goalie. So we tried just about anyone. And then obviously with the at the end of the year at the deadline, Nashville making the changes they did, and we lost 8 of our 10 top scorers. So it was very interesting. Obviously, we had to deal with all that stuff, but again, it's a great recognition for everyone that's working in part of the Milwaukee Admirals.
And that is part of the reason that you are here. Is in every AHL season, call-ups, injuries, general shenanigans cause AHL rosters to get tossed around a bunch. At one point, Nashville had 7 players that started the season on the Admirals on the Predators roster. And while that's certainly a point of pride for the Milwaukee staff, you're the one that got them to the point where they could play in the NHL. Most teams aren't able to press on and continue contending for a division title as the regular season closes. How are you and the rest of the Admirals coaching staff able to keep pressing forward despite having Nashville take so many quality players?
Yeah, when you're excited when you have players get opportunities. In the end, the players are the ones that earn those opportunities. As a staff, we hope to tweak and help in different areas, but the players get the credit fully. We do what we can to help and keep the train on the tracks as far as winning games, but the players deserve the credit for all the guys that got those opportunities when they did. And not just getting them, but doing so well like they did in Nashville. So for us, the focus for us is we coach the team we have. And so that's always been something I've learned from when I coached in the East Coast League, when you get a lot of crazy things that happen at that level. And that's kind of what happened to us this year. It was kind of East Coast League-like with the turnovers and the new players coming in. So for us, it was a very challenging situation, but I will say thank you to our management staff. Barry, David, and Scott Nickel. They went out and got some players on futures. We added some players at the deadline that were very helpful through that 6-week period, but then through playoffs. But also they went out and found PTOs and brought in ATOs like a Kimmel. So we did have great support for our management to filter our roster, where there's some challenging evenings and some ugly hockey played by the Milwaukee Admirals. Absolutely. But a real credit to the group and the team and the coaching staff, Greg Rallo and Scott Ford, digging in and finding ways to win under the circumstances.
Absolutely. We look at this award not as a best coach, but the best coaching staff, and try and include contributions from assistants, goalie, video, and strength and conditioning coaches as part of it. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank or give recognition to that made this award possible for?
Yeah, for sure. Like we start off with our management obviously got those players for us. So that's a real tip of a hat to Scott Nickel and Barry Trotz and David Poyle. So for our staff, Greg Rallo helped on all kinds of areas. He does all our pre-scouting, works with the forwards daily on individual skill work. The amount of work that Greg and Scott, our other assistant, put in is second to none. Very focused on the individual players and communicating with them and trying to assist them to reach their dreams. And then Scott Ford was our D coach and also our PK man. Our PK was top 3 and it's been top 5 in the league for 5 years now, except for 2 seasons ago. So it had a little bit of a dip, but Scott does a great job working with our defensemen. You can see the development in the players that have moved on from here, the impact he's had on players. Dave Rook is our goalie coach. Obviously, both our goalies improved this year. Then in playoffs, we throw Cooley in Game 3. He hasn't played in 6 weeks. So under difficult circumstances, David's done a great job and outstanding situation for him and what he's gone through. So we had a new video coach this year, and Ryan Stacey, who came over from Newfoundland, was with the Growlers in the East Coast Hockey League. He learned a ton and did a great job. Down the stretch, it was awesome. We didn't have to ask for things. I would like, hey, and he'd just stick it in my file. So a lot of progress by him. But it would be remiss if we didn't talk about Ryan Costello, who's our director of hockey ops. Some of the travel and playoffs and the different things when you don't know if you're winning or losing or what's occurring, and all the different things that he did to assist us, trying to help our team be prepared and be ready and be rested with the travel and the different flights. And there's all kinds of things that he does that nobody sees or understands. So we have a great staff in Milwaukee, and it would be Unfair for me not to mention our owner, Harris Tour. He's not part of our staff, but Harris is an elite person. He's a person who really cares about his staff. He paid them through the COVID times, kept everyone on payroll. He continued to do the right thing, but also things above and beyond. And he's just a great person to be around and a great person to follow with the leadership that he shows.
Absolutely. Congratulations again, once again, Coach Taylor. We do have a physical award to send you, so you're going to have to decide whose desk that gets to sit on, but I will leave that decision up to you. Once again, thank you for your time and good luck. Have a great off season. I know it's been a long journey to this point, so please try and get some rest and relaxation in there.
Thank you. We will. Appreciate it again.
All right. Thanks. Our next award is also a very non-standard AHL award. It's the Best Hockey Flow Award. Hockey has a long and storied history, and it's one full of long, flowing hair. Inspired by the Minnesota all-hair team, which has been a source of so much fun for the hockey community, we decided to have an award for the best hockey flow in the AHL, and here we are. This was not an easy field to narrow down to 3 finalists, but that was the task that we did and accomplished. Sarah, please tell me who they are.
Our 3 finalists this year are Chase Pearson of the Grand Rapids Griffins, Trevor Carrick of the Syracuse Crunch, and Alex Limoges, also of the Manitoba Moose. Again, this is a rather visual portion of the show, so if you are normally on the podcast version, I strongly suggest heading over to YouTube so you can get the full impact of the hockey flow.
Yeah, especially as there isn't much analysis to do for hair. It's just kind of a thing that happens. So we're going to basically bring all of our finalists' flows on the screen, starting with Chase Pearson. I think the one thing about Chase Pearson's flow that's the most impressive, you don't see a lot of guys who are blondes who have the long hair. It's usually like darker haired guys, I think. Regardless, second finalist here, Trevor Carrick. He was a finalist last year for this award on the San Diego Gulls. Goes all the way over to Syracuse, same flow. And last is Alex Limoges of the Manitoba Moose. Also a finalist last year, also from San Diego. He goes all the way to Manitoba, same flow there. All right, Sarah. Finally, those are our finalists for Best Hockey Flow: Chase Pearson, Trevor Carrick, and Alex Limoges. Sarah, please do us the honors of telling us who our winner is.
All right, our winner is Alex Limoges.
And here to accept the award for Best Hockey Flow is Alex Limoges. Alex, congratulations on winning the Calder Farmstead's 2022-23 Best Hockey Flow Award.
Thanks a lot, Sean. That means a lot. I was thinking about it all year, actually, and had a lot of support from teammates and girlfriends. So very happy and honored to have won it this year.
Absolutely. Alex, after being a finalist for this award last season, you've now managed to claim the crown of Best Hockey Flow in the AHL, which is impressive as you went from San Diego to Manitoba in the offseason, 2 very different climates. Was keeping the hair looking good easier or harder in Manitoba than it was in San Diego?
That's a good question. I think it was a little easier, a lot colder in Manitoba, so I was able to wear hats and get away with that more often. So I think that helped my chances this year winning, honestly.
I would say so, because I mean it's razor close. It was you and Trevor Carrick once again down to the wire. But Alex, thank you so much for taking time out of your off season to come and accept this award. That means a lot to us. We will be sending a physical award over to the Manitoba Moose offices, so please keep a lookout for that. Once again, congratulations, and have a very long and restful off season. You've definitely earned it.
Thank you so much, Sean. I look forward to getting that prize.
All right, then. Thanks. Have a good one, Alex. In the spirit of the Best Hockey Flow Award, a $100 donation to Locks of Love will be made by us in Alex Limoges' behalf. And the receipts of that will once again be posted a few days after the award ceremony is out. Has had a little bit of time to breathe. but that is part of the award that we are happy to include as a charitable donation on behalf of our winner this year's Alex Limoges.
All right, we are going to head to a short break here. If this is your jumping off point for the show, well, thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you're subscribing wherever you're checking us out from, as well as following us on social media. Links to all of that and more can be found on our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. We have the Best Goalie Mask and Best Goalie Awards coming up next, so stay tuned.
We are back from break, and this is another one of our awards that very much isn't a standard AHL awards category, but it should be. To quote the immortal philosopher Jack Rackham, because what if it all goes unremembered? It's the art that leaves the mark. But to leave it, it must transcend. It must speak for itself. It must be true. And that's what the Best Goalie Mask category and award is. Remembering the art that left a mark.
All right, so our three finalists this year for Best Goalie Mask are Ivan Prosvetov of the Tucson Roadrunners, Hunter Shepard of the Calder Cup winning Hershey Bears, and Joseph Woll of the Toronto Marlies. Now, once again, this is a visual portion of the show, so if you're normally on the podcast version, go head over to YouTube so you can see the goalie masks in all of their full glory. We'll do our best to describe each mask the best we can as we show the video audience the pictures of them, but you should really just go and click over to YouTube for this part.
All right. And here we have our first finalist here, Ivan Prosvetov. So Prosvetov's mask is similar to the one that he had last season. Some structural changes here. There's a little bit of green added on the bottom. I feel like the like robot Kachina, that's the face of it, looks a little more intimidating this year compared to last. But he was a finalist last year with a similar version of this mask, and not much has changed in the mask or our opinion of it. It's still incredibly badass. Next, we have Hunter Shepard, who took a very different approach to his goalie mask. Most guys have like little bits and pieces that are kind of collaged together, whereas his is straight up just a bear roaring at you, and a very detailed one. I remember I saw this at the end of last season, that this was going to be his mask for this year. I'm like, well, bookmark that one for the end. And last but certainly not least is Joseph Woll of the Toronto Marlies. Woll has a very interesting take on his masks. His is blue base that has brick on the bottom there for, I guess, being a wall, with a screaming eagle on the top and then kind of white wings going out the side. He's always had this kind of theme with his masks, at least for most of them, where there's some kind of, I'm assuming it's an eagle or eagle theme to all of them that's blue and white. But I like that kind of approach where he gets a new mask every season, but there's a concept that kind of runs through them. So those are our finalists for Best Goalie Mask. Sarah, would you please, as always, do the honors and tell us who our winner is?
All right, our winner for Best Goalie Mask, Hunter Shepard.
So unfortunately, Hunter Shepard is a bit busy celebrating the other awards he managed to win this season. So he was unable to come and accept the award in person. So instead, let's say a little bit more about the art here. There seems to be a trend of goalies, kind of dropping the social media post of their new mask for next season in like mid to late summer. And it immediately catches our eye as a contender for this award the following season. In the first year of our award show in 2021, that was true of Felix Sandstrom. It was true last season of Hugo Alnefelt. And here we are again with Hunter Shepard, who I'm pretty sure I quote tweeted at the end of last season and said that I saw his mask and instant contender for the award. And here we are. What I like too is that his mask is a bear roaring, and the Bears playoff branding was roaring for more and all about, when we win, we roar. And that became kind of a theme of the team through the playoffs. I don't think their creative team in Hershey took inspiration per se from Hunter Shepard's mask, but the kind of like dovetailing of the two, I thought was a pretty cool thing. And as Bob Ross taught me, sometimes happy little accidents happen in art and it all works out. Sarah, any additional thoughts on Hunter Shepard's winning mask here?
The Roaring Bear was really fun. I enjoy any animal themed anything. And I didn't even clock the connection there with the playoff branding, but I think that was a little bit of serendipity, let's say. Fun masks all around.
Just a happy little accident that happened.
Yeah.
Let's move on here. We are going to be sticking with goaltenders, but pivoting to the gameplay on the ice instead of the beauty of the artwork on their buckets. It is time to list the nominees for Best Goalie of the 2022-23 AHL regular season. We did consider some of the more readily available statistics, but we also looked at some of the more advanced stats because, of course, we did. What show do you think this is? We looked at things like point shares, goals saved above average per 60 minutes, the defensive environment in front of these goaltenders, as well as some other things. We also used our good old-fashioned eye test and combined that with the numbers to make our final choices. The finalists are Lucas Dostal of the San Diego Gulls, Joel Hofer of the Springfield Thunderbirds, and Dustin Wolf of the Calgary Wranglers. Let's break those finalists down a little bit more. Sarah, give me the stats capsule for our first finalist, Lucas Dostal.
All right, so Lucas Dostal, he is 23 years old. He was drafted in 2018. He was a third-round pick, 85th overall from the Anaheim Ducks. This is his third year in the AHL. He played 34 games this year with 11 wins. He had a .912 save percentage, .311 goals saved above average per 60 minutes, which was 10th in the AHL among goalies who started 25 or more games. He had a .229 goalie point shares per 60 minutes, 5th in the AHL among goalies who started 25 or more games. 36.88 defensive environment rating, the worst in the AHL. So, Sean, what did you see from Lucas Dostal on the ice this season?
So 2021 was the first season we started doing the defensive environment stat. And while it's far from the end-all be-all of measuring defensive performance in front of goaltenders, the Gulls this season were the third worst team since 2021, with only 2021 Rochester and 21-22 San Jose being worse. And the eye test sure confirms that the Gulls defense was abhorrent, and Lucas Dostal went out there night in and night out and gave the Gulls a chance to win, making saves on grade A scoring chance after grade A scoring chance after grade A scoring chance, and making SportsCenter, I think, at least twice with some of those saves. And while his stats may not seem like the most impressive on paper, if I've learned one thing about goaltending, it's that the defense in front of you matters. The fact that Dostal had the season he had behind one of the worst team defenses since this podcast started is a testament to how good of a goalie he really is, how much more difficult his nights were than anyone else's, and how he still managed to find a way to rise above it and, above all, stop pucks. All right, Sarah, that is Lucas Dostal. Let's hear about Joel Hofer.
So Joel Hofer is 22 years old. He was a 2018 draft pick, the fourth round, number 107 overall by the St. Louis Blues. This is his third year in the AHL. He played 47 games with 27 wins. He had a .921 save percentage, .572 goals saved above average per 60 minutes, which was third in the league among goalies who started 25 or more games. He had a .28 goalie point share per 60 minutes, which was first in the AHL among goalies who started 25 or more games. He had a 79.07 defensive environment rating, which was 13th in the AHL. Sean, how did Joel Hofer look for Springfield this year?
I think after last season's run to the Calder Cup, we all started to take more notice of Joel Hofer, not just for the goalie goal he scored, but for the saves he made and the poise he played with. Hofer has always had the physical tools, but the questions was whether or not he could put all of that together and really shine. This season answered those questions in a big way, as Hofer put to rest any notion that he wasn't the Blues goalie of the future, and quite possibly the Blues goalie of the very near future. Hofer has the athleticism of a small goalie while being 6'5" and has puck tracking like he has X-ray vision. And he's one of, if not the best puck-playing goalie in professional hockey today. That is all I have on Joel Hofer for right now. Let's talk about our last finalist, Dustin Wolf.
Dustin Wolf is 22 years old. He was a 2019 draft pick in the 7th round, number 214 overall by the Calgary Flames. This is his second year in the AHL. He played 55 games with 42 wins. He had a .932 save percentage, .869 goals saved above average per 60 minutes, which was first in the league among goalies who started 25 or more games. He had a .278 goalie point shares per 60 minutes, which was second in the league among goalies who started 25 or more games, and a 101.29 defensive environment rating, which was second best in the AHL. Sean, this season, what did you see from Dustin Wolf?
A finalist last year for this award, Dustin Wolf has come back with an even better performance this year. And when you have the defense in front of you that Wolf had, you expect that he has impressive numbers, but Wolf managed to outkick even the best defensive coverages with his ability this season. Wolf led the pack in basically every major goaltending category and did so as the AHL's runaway workhorse goaltender. His toolbox is also one of the most impressive in the AHL with high-end puck tracking, movement, poise, positioning. He really does everything at a high level, and it shows night in and night out. And even though he has a very good defense in front of him, he outshines all of that and still manages to be one of the premier goalies in the AHL. So those are our finalists for Best Goaltender: Lucas Dostal, Joel Hofer, and Dustin Wolf. Sarah, would you like to tell us who our winner is?
All right, our winner is Dustin Wolf.
Unfortunately, Dustin Wolf was not able to come on and accept the award in person. So in his stead, let's say a little bit more about his season and his game. For me, it's really amazing what Dustin Wolf has done in the AHL, especially this past season. So many common pitfalls of young, smaller goaltenders just don't apply to him. Most 22-year-old goalies struggle with the transition into the AHL from juniors and the difference in skill and speed of the shooters they face. Not Dustin Wolf. Most 22-year-old goalies struggle with consistency. Very much not Dustin Wolf. Most goalies have a bit of a slump after an excellent season as shooters are now more focused on them and they have a new library of video to study how to beat that goalie. Not Dustin Wolf. He got better. Most goalies struggle to make big saves when the puck hasn't been in their end for a while and they're inactive for a stretch and maybe a little bit cold. Not Dustin Wolf. Most undersized goalies struggle with traffic and screens and battling for their space in the crease. Again, not Dustin Wolf. Dustin Wolf has all the tools you'd want from a 22-year-old prospect on the verge of breaking out in the NHL. Great movement, great puck tracking, amazingly poised under pressure. Doesn't mentally hold on to goals he allowed. At a level of hip flexibility that rivals Simone Biles. He's dominated every single league and level of plays he's been in since he was 15 years old. He's incredibly deserving of being named Best Goaltender in the AHL for 22-23, and we're happy to name him that. Sarah, any closing thoughts here on Dustin Wolf and his season? Is it maybe one of the last times we see him?
I mean, I hope for Dustin Wolf's sake that this is the last time that we see him. I think he's proven just about everything he could at this level, short of winning the Calder Cup, and has always been, as someone whose teams that I cover plays him a bunch, always terrifying to know that he is on the other end. So again, also just, very deserving of this award. I hope that he gets his breakthrough into the NHL soon to really show them what he can do there.
Yeah, Dustin finds himself on an NHL roster next year. It needs to happen, period. There's only one thing left for him to do in the AHL, and that's win a Calder Cup. And that's a team award. Mm-hmm. As a goaltender and a prospect, you've done all the things. You've checked every box. There's nothing left for you here. Please, sir, go to the show. We're tired of talking about how great you are. We're going to take a short break here. If this is your jumping off point for the show, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe wherever you're listening to us from, as well as follow us on social media. Links to all on that and more can be found at our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. We have the Best Defenseman, Best Forward, and the Mea Culpa Awards coming up next. Stay tuned. We're going from goaltenders to the next line of defense, the actual defenseman. Our three finalists for Best Defenseman are Darren Radish of the Syracuse Crunch, Jordan Gross of the Milwaukee Admirals, and Jake Christensen of the Cleveland Monsters. If you're unfamiliar with their work, let's dive into them a little bit more here so you can see how their season earned them a seat at the table here. Sarah, please give me the stats capsule for our first finalist, Darren Radish.
Darren Radish is 27 years old. He was undrafted, and this is his 6th year in the AHL. He played 50 games with 13 goals and 38 assists for a total of 51 points. He had .68 even strength points per game, which was first in the AHL among defensemen who played 25 or more games. .68 primary points per game, which was second in the AHL among defensemen with 25 or more games. He had a .14 points shares per game, which was the 99th percentile on a per game basis, and his depth chart value grade was a top AHL defenseman by the analytics model. Sean, what did you see from Darren Radish on the ice this year?
I mean, what a breakout from Darren Radish. He goes from being a solid and reliable defenseman at the AHL level to a game breaker who's getting playoff games with the back-to-back Stanley Cup winning Tampa Bay Lightning. And that leap in production is directly tied to how much more active Radish was in the offense. He jumped into the play on the rush and in the cycle with regularity that you didn't see as much from prior to this season. And he didn't sacrifice play in his own end to do so. That's uncommon, as most defensemen who see that big step up in production do so at the sacrifice of the play in their own end, as they're cheating a little bit more for offense. They're jumping up in the play and maybe leaving their defensive partner to kind of handle things on that end. That wasn't Darren Radish this year. He still did a very good job defensively while managing to be a point per game defenseman in the AHL. That's amazing. Sarah, let's move on and talk about our second finalist here. A familiar name for this award, last year's winner, Jordan Gross.
Jordan Gross is 28 years old. He was also undrafted. This is his 4th year in the AHL. He played 53 games with 10 goals and 28 assists, or a total of 38 points. He had .25 even strength points per game, tied for 89th in the AHL among defensemen playing 25 or more games. .49 primary points per game, which was 9th in the AHL among defensemen playing 25 or more games. He had a .085 point share, which was the 92nd percentile on a per game basis, and a depth chart value grade of first pair defenseman by the analytics model. Sean, what did you see from Jordan Gross on the ice this year?
A lot of things we saw from him last season when he won this award. He's hugely valuable in transition and getting pucks to the neutral zone. He's constantly part of the offense on both the rush and the cycle. He activates often and can break defensive zone structures because of it and leave opponents suddenly scrambling because they didn't account for him coming off the blue line and into the slot or down the wall. Because of that, he's a big driver of offense, as his primary points per game being 9th in the AHL indicates. Plus, he does a lot of good things in transition that don't always end up on the score sheet. Milwaukee as a team was around average when it came to 5-on-5 scoring, but a lot of that was because Jordan Gross carrying 5-on-5 play that his teammates simply couldn't finish. That's a difference you see in the eye test, but not necessarily in the analytics, but it's still an important part of why he's a finalist here. And last but not least, Sarah, another familiar name for this award, Jake Christensen.
Jake Christensen is 23 years old. He was undrafted, and this is his 3rd year in the AHL. He played 50 games with 11 goals and 23 assists for 34 points. .42 even strength points per game, which was tied for 11th in the AHL among defensemen who played 25 or more games. .4 primary points per game, which was 24th in the AHL among defensemen playing 25 or more games. A .902 points share, which was the 94th percentile on a per game basis, and a depth chart value grade of first pairing defenseman by the analytics model. Sean, what did you see from Jake Christensen on the ice?
Another finalist from last year, and this one feels like you could make a lot of the same points from Jordan Gross's evaluation. Cleveland was a team that was straight up bad 5-on-5 and needed up the power play to score and win games. And yet Christensen was 11th in the AHL in even strength points per game as a defenseman, because he drove play 5-on-5 for the Monsters in ways that other defensemen in the AHL either just weren't asked or didn't do. In fact, the fact that he was able to produce offense and have a goals for percentage of 52.2% at even strength, while the rest of the Cleveland Monsters were at a 42.7% goals for percentage at even strength, tells you a lot about how important he was to that team, how good of a defenseman he was, and especially as an impactful defenseman at the AHL level. That's why he's a finalist here. So those are our finalists for Best Defenseman: Darren Radish, Jordan Gross, and Jay Christensen. Sarah, would you please do the honors?
Of course, our winner for Best Defenseman is Darren Radish.
And here to accept the award for Best Defenseman is Darren Radish. Darren, congratulations on winning the Calder Farmstead's 2022-23 Best Defenseman Award.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's an honor to be recognized for this, and we had a great team in Syracuse this year, and I was lucky enough to get some recognition from that.
Darren, a career year for you in the AHL, nearly doubling your previous best year in terms of offensive production, while getting the longest NHL call-up of your career, including Stanley Cup playoff games. Obvious question here. What was the difference that saw you make this leap in production?
I think I just didn't take it too serious. I just went out, tried to have some fun, tried to play the best I could. And, we had a good team in Syracuse this year and a lot of good players. So, I got to give a lot of credit to them. They did a lot there. And we had, I think, one of the best players in the AHL this year, and Alex Barry-Boulet, and, had a lot of good defensemen and just a lot of good people down in Syracuse.
So you had a lot of great people surrounding you. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank or give some recognition to that helped make this award possible for you?
Just a lot of the coaches, a lot of the players, the staff and the team in Syracuse. It's a well-run organization, and there's a lot of good people there, from the head coach and Ben, and Eric, the forward coach, and Jill's the D coach, and even Jim Sorosi, who runs the team there. There's a lot of guys there that they do a lot for us down there, and I can't thank them enough, and even the players there. There's a lot of guys that I played with, and I can probably mention 10 to 15 guys that I'm still close with and I still talk to. So just a lot of them.
Thank you once again, Darren, for taking your time out to come and accept this award on our behalf. It's been a long season. Please have a restful off season, and congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
All right. Darren Radish, everyone. Our penultimate award for the evening is quite simply Best Forward. We don't have an MVP award because the valuable part of that debate is often tangled and messy in ways that leaves no one satisfied and nothing really decided. So we eschew all of that and simply look at best. The best coaching staff, the best goaltender, the best defenseman, and now the best forward. Our three finalists for Best Forward are Matthew Phillips from the Calgary Wranglers, Michael Carconi of the Tucson Roadrunners, and Alex Barry-Boulet of the Syracuse Crunch. If you're unfamiliar with their work, let's dive into them a bit more so you can see how their season earned them a seat at the table here. Sarah, please give me the stats capsule for our first finalist, Matthew Phillips.
And Matthew Phillips is 25 years old. He was a 2016 draft pick, a sixth-round pick, number 166 overall by the Calgary Flames. This is his fifth year in the AHL. He played 66 games with 36 goals, 40 assists, and 76 points. He had .64 even strength points per game, which was tied in the AHL among forwards, tied for 10th in the AHL among forwards who played 25 or more games. .92 primary points per game, which was sixth in the league among forwards who played 25 or more games. .143 points shares per game, which was the 99th percentile on a per game basis. He had a depth chart value grade of top AHL forward by the analytics model. Sean, what did you see from Matthew Phillips on the ice?
Phillips often felt like an NHL player in the AHL this season, more so than in past seasons. His game added more 200-foot elements, and he continued to find ways to get inside into the dirty areas and create offense despite being a smaller forward. He's a high-level playmaker that also just happened to score 36 goals this season and doesn't need the power play to make offense. As many other players of his size do at the AHL level, he's never let his size limit him. And every time he gets drilled into the boards or checked to the ice, he just pops right back up and keeps going. Like all of our finalists, there's not much of a case for him to still be in the scope of our podcast, meaning in the AHL, headed into next season. Fingers crossed that for his sake, we don't have to talk about Matthew Phillips anymore. Let's move on to our next finalist, Michael Carcone.
Michael Carcone is 27 years old. He was undrafted, and this is his 7th year in the AHL. He played 65 games with 31 goals, 54 assists, and 85 total points. He had .75 even strength points per game, which was second in the league among forwards who played 25 or more games. .88 primary points per game, which was 8th in the league among forwards playing 25 or more games. .143 point shares per game, which was the 99th percentile on a per game basis, and the depth chart value grade of top AHL forward by the analytics model. Sean, what did you see from Michael Carcone on the ice?
I mean, despite the fact that he's created his own Ovechkin-style spot on the ice known as Carcone Island, we really saw his game mature and evolve this season. Yes, Michael Carcone still blasts one-timers from the right face-off dot, but he added more to his game this season with newer developments in his playmaking and attacking off the rush. He's not just a power play one-time monster and a kitten in the rest of his minutes. As you said, second in even strength points per game and 8th in primary points, the majority of which were assists. We don't have a most valuable award because, as we talked about in the intro here, value versus best gets too messy and too drive time sports radio nonsensy for us. But if we did, it's hard to argue against Carcone, who carried a very unimpressive Tucson Roadrunners team, kicking and screaming to wins and an expanded playoff berth. Without him, Tucson likely gives San Diego a run for its money this season. All of that combined shows why Michael Carcone was one of the best 3 forwards in the AHL this year. Our last finalist that we want to talk about and dive into is Alex Barré-Boulet. Sarah, tell me about it.
Alex Barré-Boulet is 26 years old. He was undrafted, and this is his 5th year in the AHL. He played 69 games this year for 24 goals, 60 assists, and a total of 84 points. He had .72 even strength points per game, which was 4th in the league among forwards who played 25 or more games. .93 primary points per game, which was 5th in the league among forwards playing 25 or more games. He had .129 point shares per game, which was the 98th percentile on a per game basis, and a depth chart value grade of top AHL forward by the analytics model. Sean, what did you see from Alex Barré-Boulet on the ice?
Speaking of seeing a player's game evolve and mature a bit, Alex Barré-Boulet did that a bit this season. Granted, he's played an NHL-ready game in my mind for quite a while, so there's only so much polishing that could realistically be done, but here we are. He's added some more playmaking and 200-foot elements to his game, even though that's never really been necessary in my mind, as he's always been such a dominant force in the AHL from the beginning. His shot is still lethal with that release, and the rest of his game just keeps getting better. Like everyone else who was a finalist for this award this season, I struggle to believe we see him in a serious way in the AHL this year, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Those are our finalists for Best Forward: Matthew Phillips, Michael Carcone, and Alex Barré-Boulet. Sarah, for the second to last time tonight, would you please do the honors?
All right, our winner is Alex Barré-Boulet.
And here to accept the award for Best Forward in the AHL is Alex Barré-Boulet. Alex, congratulations on winning the Calder Farmstead's 22-23 Best Forward Award.
Thank you.
Alex, you've been one of the best in the AHL since the first time you took the ice in Syracuse back in 2018. However, how you've gone about that seems to have changed a little bit. You still have a weapon for a shot, but you've racked up 60 assists this season. You had 61 in your first 2 AHL seasons combined. Have you made a more conscious effort to add passing and playmaking elements into your game? Are you just getting better chemistry with your teammates and knowing where they are? Or have guys just simply stopped, shooting your A-plus setups into the goalie's chest?
I don't know. Obviously my first season played with a guy like Carter Verhaeghe. He was the one in charge of controlling the plays and stuff like that. So I was most of the time end up finishing his work. I think that was the opposite. I was in charge offensively in Syracuse to, make plays and stuff like that. And also play with great goal scorers. This year played with Simon Reifers, Gabriel Dumont, Gage Goncalves. They all have that finishing touch that helps to get assists.
So obviously there's always a lot of things that go into making a player successful. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank or give some recognition to who helped make this award possible for you?
Yeah, I mean the whole Syracuse Crunch organization, from people in the office to the guys that are equipment guys, my teammates. Obviously, without them, it wouldn't be possible. Obviously, family. My wife now with 2 kids, she has a lot of on her shoulder, so it's great to see that she's by my side every day.
Absolutely. Alex, congratulations once again. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come accept this award. That means a lot to us. And have a long and restful off season. I know how big of a grind the season can be for you guys. So please, rest up. And we hope to maybe not see you in the AHL again next year. That would be the ultimate goal.
Hopefully.
I think you've definitely earned that. Thank you once again. Congratulations. Have a good off season.
Thank you.
Our last award for the 2022-23 season is what we have dubbed the Mea Culpa Award. At the beginning of each season, we do deep dive previews. We talk about any player we think will have a significant impact on the team, as well as use the model to see what their average standings points are, and decided this year if we liked the over or the under on that total. This preseason, we talked about over 500 players across all 32 teams in those previews. Inevitably, some of them were wrong. The Mea Culpa Award goes to the team which we were the wrongest about in their favor. The award also comes with a $100 donation to an educational cause in the market of the winner. We were dumb, so we should help others be smarter. That's our logic. Our 3 finalists this year are the Calgary Wranglers, the Abbotsford Canucks, and the Providence Bruins. Let's talk about each finalist here and what we said about them in the preseason and how wrong we were. I will kick us off with the Calgary Wranglers, which in our preview we said, and I quote, losing guys like Kirkland, Gaudin, and Froese are not small subtractions, especially as Froese was the captain and a clear leader in the locker room. But they still have an ace coaching staff, solid talent up front, youths who could mature into impact players, and one of the best goalies in the AHL. It's unlikely they're the dominant team that stormed the division last season. Another quote, I know this team lost some good pieces, and it won't be the same as Stockton last year. We overall thought the Wranglers would be a competitive team that should make the playoffs, but not be the team they were in Stockton the season before, given some of the players and the turnover that they had in the offseason. We didn't have any egregious omissions in the season preview as far as players go, but we just were not as high on the team given the additions and subtractions in the offseason, and that was clearly misguided. They were the best team in the regular season. Sarah, how wrong were we about Abbotsford?
Okay, so to be fair to us in regards to Abbotsford, about a week into the season, they went out and acquired Cal Rao, Lane Peterson, Phil DiGiuseppe, and Phil DiGiuseppe started the season in Abbotsford unexpectedly. Regardless, neither of us saw Christian Wolanin as being nearly as productive as he was. Neither of us saw 40-plus point seasons for Linus Karlsson or Tristan Nielsen. We thought there was talent in the net with Seelovs, but there was a hesitation there given how little he'd really played coming into the season. While some of the early in-season moves couldn't have been predicted by us in the preseason, missing big steps forward for Wolanin, Karlsson, Nielsen, Klimovich, Seelovs, and others does count as a big L for us and propels Abbotsford to this spot as a finalist.
And lastly, our third and final finalist for the Mea Culpa Award, the Providence Bruins. Some direct quotes from us in the preseason. Quote, the Bruins aren't particularly deep, so even if I thought more highly of this team, it's only a matter of time until Boston has to start pulling away their top players. Quote, a lot of other teams in this division added depth and quality veterans, and Providence really didn't, nor do any of their prospects seem poised to break out. Brandon Bussey wasn't even mentioned in the season preview. Neither was Georgi Merkulov or Justin Brazeau. Both Sarah and I took the under on the points from the model in the preseason. They were a 2% chance to win the Atlantic Division in our preseason preview.
Oops.
Wow. Just wrong.
Brutal.
So, why do we end the show on such a negative note for us? I don't like this.
Don't know.
Maybe
You
restructure.
did it.
So those are the finalists for the Mea Culpa Awards, the Calgary Wranglers, Abbotsford Canucks, and Providence Bruins. Sarah, for one final time, would you like to tell us who our final award winner of the show is?
Of course, our winner is the Providence Bruins.
We unfortunately weren't able to get a hold of the Providence Bruins brass to come on and accept the award, as they seem to be enjoying the offseason already, which I can't blame them for. I am super excited for my own offseason to begin. In the meantime, let's say a bit more about Providence and their season and highlight our wrongness just a little bit more here. I will start. I think the biggest surprise for me was Brandon Bussey. At least with Merkulov, you could see the projectable skills in his game and solid production at a Big Ten school that we won't name. But you could say the same thing about Tanner Lashinsky and Carson Meyer, who came out of that same place with similar production and didn't translate that AHL production so quickly as a rookie. But at least the signposts were there for Merkulov, and we just kind of ignored them. Bussey had a very meh junior career in the NAHL and was fine at Western Michigan, but not much more. Like, yeah, he looked good at the end of 21-22 for the Providence Bruins, but that's a 5-game sample where he posted a save percentage 8 points higher than anything he'd done in college. Plus, he started the season in the ECHL. And here we are, where Bussey was very nearly a finalist for us in the best goaltender category. Absolutely wild. Justin Brazeau felt like another that was begging to regress after he shot 17.4% in 21-22 after being just kind of a depth guy for the Marlies the season before. He did regress and shot 9.5 this season, but still managed to score at a comparable pace, finishing third on the Bruins in scoring. Boston also didn't do a ton of damage to Providence via cup of coffee call-ups, and the team stayed relatively healthy. I mean, all due respect to Jakub Lauko, who got yo-yoed a ton, but that was really it. The biggest thing for me is how well Providence played as a team this season. It was always a team efforts game that they played with no real top AHL players carrying them in terms of scoring. I mean, Bussey was one of the top players in the league, but that was about it. That speaks a lot to the buy-in and dedication of the players in Providence and how well they mesh with the coaching staff and what they've put in place. That more than anything is why Providence is here getting this award. It's not, we missed a superstar that they had. It's that they brought everything together and got the most out of a lot of players, and we didn't see that. And that's our bad. Mea culpa. Sarah, your thoughts on Providence this season?
Yeah, for me, the Brandon Bussey factor was huge. He was not, mea culpa, like he wasn't even on my radar whenever we were putting together our previews. I thought this team was just a bunch of guys, and they absolutely kind of pulled together to be one of those teams that's greater than the sum of its parts, essentially. And, obviously the season didn't end the way that they would have wanted it to, but they absolutely surprised me every step of the way this year. So congrats to them for making us look dumb.
Like this is the two previous times that we have had to give this award out. They felt like at least we could justify based on, the end, justify the preseason stuff that we said based on what happened at the end. I got nothing for this. We were capital W wrong. I mean, Henderson, at least in the preseason, we were like, okay, it's a new team. There's a lot of unknowns here. I don't think it's going to work. Chicago last year, we were like, okay, we thought you were going to be good. And then you were, godly. This year we were straight up like, no, Providence is going to be bad.
Yeah.
I think we're not.
Yeah.
And yep, we very much earned this award from us this year. And as we mentioned earlier, there will be a $100 donation to an education based cause in the Providence, Rhode Island area, as we were dumb, so other people should learn to be smarter.
Yeah.
That is our last award to give out. Sarah, run it down real quick for those who are just kind of hopping in at the end here. Tell me who won everything.
All right. So this year, our best AHL TV broadcast went to the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Our best broadcaster is Ryan Smith. Best coaching staff is the Milwaukee Admirals. Best hockey flow, Alex Limoges. Our best goalie mask winner is Hunter Shepard. Our best goalie is Dustin Wolf. Best defenseman, Darren Radish. Best forward, Alex Barre-Boulet. And the Mea Culpa Award, a.k.a. we were real wrong, the Providence Bruins.
As always, we had a great time putting on this show. We hope you had a great time watching it. This is the end of our coverage for the 2022-23 season. A little later in the summer than maybe we had thought it would go, but here we are nonetheless. We will be back at some point before September. That's all I can promise you at this point. Other than that, I'm very proud of the work that we did this year. Sarah, I'm proud of you and how you have come onto the show as a co-host and really knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much for tolerating me and my shenanigans over the course of this season.
I mean, who doesn't want shenanigans in their hockey podcast? Come on.
Sarah, any closing thoughts on the season before we take a much-deserved break?
No, this has been delightful. This show has been very fun. Putting thought into the votes, especially knowing that you all are going to see them and judge my votes, was both terrifying and also a really nice way to reflect on the season. I for our listeners / viewers, like a lot of thought and care went into these votes. It wasn't just throwing darts at stuff. Even the eye test person on the show put a little thought into these. It was a tough decision, and I hope that you all are at least finding things to talk about with our results, whether you agree with them or not. It was a great time putting this together and just working the whole season together.
Absolutely, too. I think what was most interesting doing the voting for this is, in previous years with CC, it always seemed like we were at least somewhat close on the like non-direct hockey awards, like best player, best defenseman. You and I were at least in the neighborhood of each other. Like we both kind of saw the same things. We maybe judged them a little differently, but you could see that what I saw in, let's say, Darren Radish, you saw the same thing.
Yeah.
When it came to like the more abstract ones, best broadcast, best goalie mask, like those were the ones where it's just like, wow, we saw very different things here. But that was the enjoyable part, is seeing that like, oh yeah, the subjective awards are in fact not as cut and dry. People have different opinions on goalie masks and broadcasts and broadcasters. And that was very interesting to see. And you're going to see some very aligned ballots and some very not ones.
Yeah.
But other than that, Sarah, for the last time this season, take us home.
All right, that is it for the show. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. The Calder Farmstead is a part of the Full Press Radio Network. You can listen to this and several other hockey, sports, and sports entertainment programs all at www.fullpresscoverage.com. Just click the podcast drop-down menu in the top right portion of the website and enjoy.
And if you guys are enjoying the Calder Farmstead, please make sure you subscribe so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or Amazon, please rate and review the podcast. Or if you're watching on YouTube, like the video and comment what you thought of the episode. Doing so helps others find the show, and your reviews help us improve it. You can also follow the show on social media at Calder Farmstead on Twitter, at The Calder Farmstead on Instagram and Facebook. Links to all of that and more can be found at our Linktree page, which is linktr.ee/The Calder Farmstead. Big thanks to Adrian Drake, who made our theme music. You can find him on social media at AD_dysfunction. That's AD_DYSFUNCTION. So we can make music for you too. Sarah, where can the people find you?
My name is Sarah Avampado. You can find me representing Full Press Hockey on Twitter at Right Said Sarah. That's WRITE, said Sarah with an H. You can check out my writing at Full Press Hockey, where I talk about the Ontario Reign, or at Canes Country, where for now, at least, I still kind of talk about the Chicago Wolves. Sean, where can people find you?
I'm Sean O'Brien. You can find me on Twitter at Sean O'Brien81. That's SeanObrien81. I'm also on Instagram at Sean O'Brien_81. You can find my stats work on Tableau at bit.ly/data dump and chase, all lowercase, all one word. Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope you appreciated all of the awards that were given out and the players that won them. I know we did. For Sarah Avampado, I am Sean O'Brien. Please dump and chase responsibly.